Hi everyone. First of all, thank you so much for, what a great turnout. Thank you so much. I'm going to start with the acknowledgement of country. So we're meeting on all different Aboriginal lands today. Me and the Beckon team are coming from Gadigal country. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians and owners of the lands that we all stand on today. I acknowledge their continued connection to the waterways, land, sky and culture, and pay my respects to their elders, both past, present, and extended that respect to their young people who are their future leaders. I'd like to acknowledge all other First Nations people that have joined us today, and in the spirit of reconciliation, extend that to the many cultures that make up this great country. I hope that our ancestral spirits are watching over us today and walk with us as we try and make this world a better place. Welcome to our very first Beckon Investor Forum. We exist to get capital and capability to where it matters most, local need and underserved markets. We build value for investees and deliver quality returns for investors, economic, social and environmental. Beckon is an active investor and our platform originates projects and enterprises. Today, we're showcasing the businesses that we've curated. And I want you just while you're listening to all these businesses pitch their ideas, understand that we've curated them for you. We've taken the time to bring them to your attention. If Beckon didn't exist, how would these businesses get to you? So thank you for your time. It is my greatest honour and pleasure to introduce our founder, Christopher Self, who will take you through a deeper presentation today.
Hi everybody, I'm Chris Self. My mother calls me Christopher Self, so whenever I put my surname, you see the Christopher, but you can call me Chris. It's really a privilege to spend some time with you today and present these outstanding companies, which has been a pleasure for us to work with. Beckon was born really on an idea. A number of us were working in big finance, big government, etc. And it became very clear that in order to deal with the challenges in the world, big business, big finance was more part of the problem than the solution. And what was really needed was to get capital and build local capability where the big business couldn't go, big finance couldn't go. So what we have seen, and it's very well documented, that SMEs, smaller businesses, local projects and local communities struggle to get capability and struggle to get capital. And by us building a bridge between the delivery of capital and capability, working with people, we were best placed to meet local needs. And this is one of the reasons why, as an aside, you can see over the last 30 or 40 years, real interest rates have been close to zero. That's because we've been printing money at the big end of town in order to solve a problem, and it just doesn't get out there. So at the same time as we have this big local need and that needs to be met, traditional government, traditional big business wasn't solving it. And that's what we've been born to do at Beckon. So we've been building a platform in order to reach those businesses. The beautiful thing in this space is not only are we empowering great entrepreneurial people, great ideas, but we're also delivering great returns to investors at the same time. It's very interesting, / important to note the evolution out there of investors and communities' understanding of the idea of impact. When impact was first born as an idea, it was very much driven by the idea that government wasn't solving certain social policy problems, and there was an early generation of business-minded investors, things like the Gates Foundation and the like, that developed an idea of using business-type ideas to deliver these social outcomes. In that instance, it was profit or impact. It was a trade-off technically between them. you may be aware that subsequently to that, we've seen investor demands of traditional companies that they meet base requirements, and also within those businesses that they understand that they could be sued if they don't meet or understand the risks they're taking in not meeting these broader requirements. And that led to the evolution of this idea of ESG into being an orthodox idea for big companies. So what we see is big companies delivering profit, but also having to report what their ESG commitments are and how they deliver against those. What we're seeing now is something new, and that's the understanding that actually great businesses actually deliver total value to people, and they build value through delivering impact. So whereas it used to be a trade-off profit or impact, now it's profit through impact. And that's what really Beckon is about. We're here to present companies that actually are solving problems, building real value for communities and delivering profitability. And that gives a sustainable ecosystem. And we think that that's how the world is inevitably going to evolve. That's how we're going to meet the challenges of the world. It's interesting now, this profit through impact is widely recognized now in the investment community as being a success variable. But tellingly, we're now moving to a stage 4. And that is, even to participate in supply chains, companies are going to need to know what their impacts are, what their ESG is, in order to meet the procurement requirements that are now increasingly expected by government, communities, and many other stakeholders. For example, you're probably well aware, or you may be seeing the signs, that Woolworths and Coles are going to be expecting their suppliers, they're saying, you know, zero sustainable agriculture, zero carbon emissions and so forth, are going to become part of the sales propositions that the retailers are going to be standing behind. Why this is so important is that, going back to the original problem Beckon is born to help with, and that is getting capital and capability down to smaller businesses, which, by the way, is impactful unto itself, because we see that that builds local communities. We also want to help give the tools for these businesses to actually understand their impact so that they can participate in the supply chain. In order to do that, we've been building a platform structure which is trying to deliver this, intended to deliver this at scale. So we're working with technologists right now so that we can systemize and give dashboards and support to the businesses that we are working with. The first stage is to help them understand not just themselves, but be understood by others. And it's really exciting to help businesses tell their stories. We're creating modules to do this. We work with businesses in a collaborative space to build business models together. Sorry for the cough. And we are working with a cohort now to create a data interface, including the ESG data interface. Finally, our relationship with businesses, and I think all investors' relationships with businesses are becoming much more active. We partner, and we think that good investment, you should be partnering with the ongoing improvement in businesses. So the investment cycle is not just buying value, it's helping build value. And to build value, you need a process structure like this. So we're very proud of this structure. We're building it with a collection of people around the world, and through that, you know, helping build the bridge to these businesses. So with no further ado, I want to introduce you to some outstanding companies. I'll pass on to Isaac. If you're interested at a later point in understanding how we work with businesses and how Beckon works, we're here at your disposal. We're excited, and on with the presentation. These are outstanding companies.
Thanks, Chris. I'd like to introduce John Radner, CEO of Flowback Australia, to present. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Let me share the screen. Morning, everyone. Kicking off first, reflect.
John. You're on mute now, John, as well. Sorry, John, you're on mute.
That's good. Okay, right, we're all set. Now the clock starts now, right, Isaac? We're not good. Okay, morning, everyone. Now we can start. I was pondering back in the good old days when we'd travel to exotic places and wander down little back streets, come across a lovely little restaurant, order a drink, taking the aroma of the open sewer beside where we're sitting, and ponder why on earth that was still the case in 2022. Last 2 weeks, I've been over in Florida and in Miami. I'm wandering around in Coral Gables. You can go to the next, Isaac. And down in Coral Gables, which is one of the wealthiest suburbs in all of Florida and in the US, the houses there, the $30 million houses, still are on septic tanks, all leaking into the bay. Down on South Beach, their most prominent tourist area in Miami, at every king tide, sewage washes out over the broken old gravity sewers onto the beach. In Florida alone, there are 2.7 million septic tanks feeding the houses. It's just quite amazing that in a place like America with 30 to 40% of non-urban areas are still on septic tanks. And many of them are failing, and there's an incentive to do something about it. So not only are we looking at massive growth in areas like Florida of 200,000 new residents coming down to it, looking at new developments in high water table areas, but there's a lot of broken infrastructure, not only there, but around the world. Sorry, next, Isaac. So the alternatives people look at are gravity sewage systems. Now, if it was easy to put in a gravity sewage system in a place like Florida or anywhere else, then it would have been done. The reason is it hasn't been done, is it's very expensive to do so. They can look at an alternative like a low pressure pump system, so having a pump at every house, but the energy costs and sustainability are quite ridiculous for that. And they're really just a step up from a septic tank. So vacuum sewer systems have been around for some while, and we've specialized in that. We've been doing vacuum sewage systems for over 20 years. We've done more than 100 projects in Australia and New Zealand. We're working at the moment on a 12,000 lot development down in South Australia. We're working on an 800 lot project in Auckland and a 3,000 lot project in Auckland. So it's quite common to use vacuum sewage systems. There's been a change in that the communication networks that we've developed can now add a lot less risk to those systems and a lot more value to those systems. So vacuum works from just the movement of air and pressure differential between the residential area and the pump station. So we move sewage away from residences to a pump station onto a treatment plant, just using that air and pressure differential. So there's very little power that gets used and very little risk of any exfiltration. If we go to the next. So the keys with vacuum sewage relative to a lot of other more traditional types of systems are that less risk of sewage flowing out into an environmental protected area, the less risk of stormwater or groundwater coming into the sewage network. And if we go on to the next slide, you can see that our business model has really come on with the engineering and design of these sewage systems, the supply of a lot of equipment, which we make, the vacuum valves, monitoring equipment, collection pits, pump stations. We get involved in the commissioning of these systems, operations and maintenance, and the monitoring and the long-term asset support, which gives us recurring revenue. So the types of projects we focus on are either those septic to sewer projects, new residential developments, or retrofitting older systems. At the moment, we're working on a $5 million project for Central Coast on upgrading a system we built first in 1990 for them. So putting that with new valves and a monitoring system. Go to the next. So the focus for this discussion is really the growth and opportunities we've developed in the US over the last 6 years. So with 2.8 million 2.7 million septic tanks in Florida. The EPA has come up with $226 million to fund the transfer of those septic tank systems over to a regular sewage system, whether that be gravity, low pressure, or vacuum systems. In Jacksonville, the major city in Florida, has just announced a program of $750 million to transfer 30 towns, which are on septic tanks, 26,000 septic tanks, over to vacuum systems. So every single one of those systems will go to a vacuum system. And a lot of that is to do with the internet technology, the IoT technology that we have developed to give them security and the ability to manage all of those systems. In the Florida Keys, the US Army has provided a $10 million, 7.5 million US project to us, which I signed the contract 2 weeks ago at Key Largo, for monitoring of their existing vacuum system, which has got a connection to 12,000 houses. So in the event of hurricanes, they want to know where their systems are at risk. So there are projects all around in the US, which we've been heavily involved with for some time, where it's just starting up now and aggressively increasing. We'll go to the next. So the reason why vacuum is used in a lot of these areas is that low cost of installation. The areas we're working in are high water table, flat areas like Florida and a lot of the East Coast of America. So we can install fairly quickly, the sewage won't leak out. So it's really a lot of environmental benefits and used a lot in environmentally sensitive areas. But there's a lot of benefits also for the communities that we're involved with, in that we're not going onto their properties. It's fast installation, so it's not disrupting them. And through the use of our IoT communication, we're able to do this with the ability to monitor any electrical use, any infiltration going on, and predictive analysis of possible failures in the future. If we go to the next. So the real issues that we're facing, we are doing major projects, as I mentioned, in South Australia, 12,000 lot, so $20 to $30 million project over the next 10 to 20 years. With the Walker Corporation, this $5 million project at the moment in Central Coast. We've just picked up this $10 million project in the US, amongst others. But advancing that internet technology, taking advantage of these projects in the US, we're looking at an exit in 2028 by the time I turn 70. So we're looking for that cash flow support to really try and manage out the risk of an accelerated growth strategy in the US market. If we go to the final. So this is the projects that we're looking at when it's developer projects. This is Rivoli, a Walker Corporation development in South Australia. So this is a typical developer project that we're involved with, where we can lay the pipe flat in the ground and not have that risk of sewage flowing out. So it is considered the lowest carbon footprint sewage network that is on the market, and we have that experience to be able to deliver it. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, John. That was amazing after all the technical difficulties. Awesome. I would now like to invite Mark Pert, the founder of DIT AgTech, to present.
Thanks, Isaac. Good morning, everyone. Isaac, I was just wondering if you could share my presentation. Thank you. So while we're getting that up, I'll start, guys. Look, thanks for the opportunity, Beckon, for allowing me to present DIT AgTech. As you might know, I'm sitting in a plane at the moment. I've just flown in from some cattle stations. I'm in sunny Mount Isa, presenting to you from the back seat of my plane so I could get some internet connection before I head back out with my staff out on some cattle stations. What is DIT AgTech? So startup, first of all, we really are an impact farming business. Our core purpose is to enable farmers to produce more food with less better. Where did the idea come with DIT AgTech? I grew up in the bush on cattle and sheep stations when I was a young guy, went to ag college, and for 20 years of my life, I flew helicopters in Northern Australia mustering. And I had a successful helicopter mustering business and a labour hire business, but I never felt that I was had any purpose to my life, that I was doing something that I could contribute to further generations. I went back and did a MBA about 15 years ago. And while I was there doing a finance subject, I heard about this word ag tech. And it became really obvious to me early on that tech would disrupt agriculture like any other industry. But the difference was previous tech disruptions been all about social media and smartphones. It's really only given humanity convenience, entertainment. But when we talk about ag tech, we've got the opportunity to do something more important. High level numbers. And some of you probably know these numbers. By 2050, there'll be 10 billion people on planet Earth. We need to produce between 60 and 100% more food to feed everyone. From someone who's got a farming background, and maybe you don't have a farming background, I can tell you that there is an existential risk to humanity that we will not be able to produce enough food. Why? It is hard enough to produce food now for even this population. If you were to ask a farmer that in 30 years they have to increase their production outputs on farm, most of them will just say it's impossible. Well, I don't believe that. I actually believe that with tech and innovation, we can do that. So DIT is a business that's enabling in extensive agriculture to help those farmers produce more with less. We manufacture IoT devices that supplement the drinking water of the livestock through the water. And we also manufacture all the supplements. Why do we do this? Because we have a really big problem in agriculture and extensive agriculture that we cannot get any production without supplementing. It's the second biggest cost in extensive agriculture is supplementation. We do it with lick blocks and dry licks, where animals have to lick the blocks or eat it out of a tub. It's very inefficient. We can't measure it. And the other thing is there's a lot of wastage and it doesn't really give the production benefits. So what we do is we take all of the key ingredients. There's a lot of chemistry innovation in DIT. We take these ingredients and we pump them into the water system so that the animals get exactly the right amount of supplements day in, day out. We decrease the cost of supplementing by half of what it is traditionally. We take away all the labor and all the traveling of putting out supplements across large, expansive areas. And we help farmers to reduce their carbon footprint from emissions just from traveling in motor cars. And we let water do the work. Most people are already putting in big water infrastructure projects on their properties. So we just tap in our devices in there and put the supplements into the water. People might ask, why water supplementing? The way I see DIT AgTech is that if you think back to an e-commerce business, Amazon is a classic example. They had a clear vision to build an e-commerce business, but they had to start with something with selling books. For DIT, we're solving a real problem now, but we have the opportunity because of this digital platform that we're building to hook on a lot of other IoT devices and collect a lot of data into the future. This is a typical doser that you can see there now. The business is revenue generating. We're in our 5th year, and every day we have staff across Northern Australia and Southern Australia installing these dosers into the water systems. Next slide. Thanks, Isaac. DIT is not a startup. It's a scale up. We've been in operation since 2016. In the middle of the northern beef industry season, we'll have up to 30 staff working for us where we are now. Our current clients include A-grade corporate operations, Paraway Pastoral Companies, our biggest client, owned by Macquarie Bank. We're doing work now with AAM. We're doing work with Australian Agricultural Company, Consolidated Pastoral Company, and nearly all the largest meat processors we work very closely with as well. If you notice there, our target addressable market right now, just with our current clients, is 321,000 head of cattle, is $16 million worth of revenue. So we have a great addressable market into the future. If we just go to the next slide. Thanks, Ozzy. We're positioned for strong growth into the future. We currently have 2 revenue models. So we call ourselves a SaaS business. We've had a lot of trouble in the past raising money because we're not a SaaS business, but we are. We're a supplements as a service business. Our customers are sheep and cattle. And we have two revenue models within our business. One is our full service model, where we install all the tech and the infrastructure. Everything's connected to satellites. And then the farmer just pays on the supplements that they buy off us. The other model is our pay-as-you-go model, which is a model where the farmers buy the hard assets, the water fittings and the pipes. We give them the tech free of charge, and they enter into 12 months subscription or offtake agreements to buy their supplements. What do we do from a production benefit, and why is it important for the environment by water supplementing? Well, one, we allow the animals to do what they naturally do, which is instead of hanging around lick blocks and destroying and degrading our pastures and our soils, they learn to walk out and graze, and we look after the pastures. We're increasing production. Most of our clients are seeing up to 10 to 15% increase in calving and lambing percentages. So that equates to less animals on the livestock, but more kilos of beef and wool and dairy. We're predicting this year in FY22 to do over 2 million of revenue. And then with the current customers that we're installing all of our devices on now, that will jump to 5 million in revenue in FY23. Probably the most exciting thing I think we're doing in DIT, and something that I'm really passionate about, is we need to produce more food for humanity. But society is saying to agriculture to reduce their carbon footprint. And one of the biggest things that society is saying, and Isaac and Chris touched on it earlier, is Coles and Woolies is asking farmers to reduce methane. But how are we going to do it? You would have all heard of asparagus, the seaweed additives, the amount of money that's being put into all this research, and these products are on the market now to reduce methane. But everyone's forgot one single thing. How do we deliver these supplements or these additives to reduce methane at scale across the landscape? In Australia, the biggest methane emissions is from our extensive agriculture. That is 92% of all methane emissions is from extensive agriculture. The other 8% is from dairies and feedlots. The opportunity for DIT now is we're actually got a $1.8 million grant working with CQ Uni, looking at all these other methane additives. We're testing them with our current supplements to be able to pump them through our doses and into these water systems to reduce methane emissions from livestock. But more importantly, we're going to start developing methodologies through our software and our hardware so farmers can reduce their emissions every day and at the same time capture a carbon credit. So I'm looking forward to talking to everyone in the breakout groups. Thanks again, Isaac, for the opportunity, and I look forward to chatting to you all later.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Mark. I'd now like to introduce David Flintoff, CEO, and Angus Hudson, the founder of Slurry Tub. Slurry Tub's actually an investment from Beckon Capital's first fund. I'm very excited to have them here today.
Thanks, Isaac. Just share my screen. Hopefully everyone can see that okay.
Not yet, David.
Not yet. Does it come up?
Fantastic.
How about that? Okay, thank you. Welcome to everybody, and thanks for the opportunity to present our Slurry Tub to you guys this morning. Grateful also to have Angus, as Isaac mentioned, on the line, who's actually the founder and the inventor of Slurry Tub. So we're going to talk to you a little bit today about what the problem is for the building and construction industry, which is a significant one that we're looking to address with Slurry Tub, and we're really mindful of the environmental impact that the building industry does have on stormwater quality. So we'll talk a little bit through that today as well. So Angus, perhaps why don't we just give you the opportunity just to talk to the guys about just the problem, particularly from your 35 years experience on a building site and what that means for the invention.
Yeah, hi everyone, and thank you for the opportunity. I've been running a building company in Sydney for more than 30 years, and over this time I've found it very difficult to responsibly dispose of any excess cement slurry. Cement's used throughout the building process, as everyone would be aware, from start to finish. concrete slabs and footings, bricklaying, rendering, tiling, and even landscaping at the end, towards the end of the project, is, you know, cement's used throughout. The council guidelines on how to dispose of cement slurry are really unhelpful and difficult to comply with. So the problem of how to dispose of cement slurry responsibly is a really big one, and one that I always found a challenge. And that's what led me to coming up with the idea of there's got to be a better way, and going into the development of Slurry Tub, which is our product. And David will talk more about that.
Thanks, Angus. So look, in terms of the solution, you know, we obviously honed in on some really key attributes, and that was, you know, to Angus's point about cleaner and safer sites. We absolutely needed something that was going to be quick and easy to use. The protection needed to be there for you know, for drains, for anything that's entering the stormwater from a gutter or a drain needed to be protected. There's upside for businesses that are using Slurry Tub also, because the clients are going to be happy. They're not going to be subject to you know, sneaky places in the garden or on the lawn where a tradesman might wash up and cause some damage. Builders or site managers are responsible for the sites, and the EPA and council officers are out and about auditing sites for compliance. And you know, there's significant fines that are levied to industry for not doing the right thing, and ultimately, you know, this process, or this best practice, as we like to call it, is going to be better for the environment. So Slurry Tub's, you know, a polypropylene tub with a filter, with a paper, industrial grade paper filter fitted inside it. It's really ridiculously simple, and I think that's, you know, in our experience, the beauty of the product. It's simple. The filter captures the sediment down to about 25 microns, allowing clear water to drain, which is a significant benefit for all users. So how it works, you know, it's really encapsulated in these four images, if you like. So a tradesman, in this case, it's a bricklayer who's just emptied the contents of his cement mixer into his wheelbarrow, and he's emptying the slurry, or the sediment and the wash water, into Slurry Tub with the filter fitted. Hands free, the barrow stands up. The user or the operator can walk around the front of the barrow, hose out the barrow and its entire contents into Slurry Tub at about 40 to 50 litres of volume. And immediately the filtering process starts. And you can see in the third photo there, the clarity of the water that drains out of Slurry Tub after a typical bricklayer's mix. It's quite amazing, and to this day still blows my mind to see the clarity of the water. The fourth photo is the hardened content. So that, as I said, the draining commences almost immediately, and as the contents dry, a cake starts to form in the bottom of the filter and the tub, and the user simply picks up the tub and then empties the hardened contents into the building site skip. Now, normally all that slurry would be washed away, usually into a drain or a gutter, and the catchment is quite incredible. Cleared water. So the opportunity for Slurry Tub, we have threaded outlets on the two sides of Slurry Tub, which enable us to fit a normal garden fitting to the tub, and you can attach a hose, as you can see in the second image there, that will be able to collect the water from the tub. So that'll enable a closed loop, if you like, in terms of the site being completely dry and the slab not being subject to any trips and falls and injuries for workers. So you can actually recycle the water on the job, which is another benefit. And the water saving potential for this is enormous. I spoke about environmental impact earlier. So the water saving, you know, based on an average of 54 litres of water being used for every filter, there's an enormous quantity of water saving opportunity for Slurry Tub, on the basis that no more are hoses used to wash down driveways and building sites. So, you know, based on the number of filters that we've sold already with Slurry Tub, there's been over 3 million litres of water saved already, we believe, with the potential for many, many more based on our relatively low penetration rates with Slurry Tub so far. The other upside and of a real environmental benefit is the reduction in the TSS, or the turbidity of the water. So the reduction in suspended solids after some testing that we were required to do to get our environmental accreditation is enormous. So, you know, in the vicinity of 5,000 milligrams per litre down to about 50, the filter does just such a magnificent job. Also, the quality of the water at the end of the draining and the filtering process is quite amazing. Also, we're almost at Australian drinking water standards for most of the contents, other than the pH and the cadmium. I beg your pardon. Slurry tub's the first of its kind anywhere in the world, and as such, we've invested in the protection of the product through a number of countries that you can see there. We've filed had granted and filed in most major developed countries, and that gives us some protection, head start on any of the competition. We've been marketing Slurry Tub for about a year, just over a year now, and we've had some really great supports for some key traditional channel resellers in Australia, including those ones you can see there, and along with some product endorsement from some key stakeholders, including some city councils, the City of Sydney, where Angus secured an environmental performance grant to launch Slurry Tub, about a year and a half ago. We've got our environmental authentication, or our claims, authenticated by GECA, Good Environmental Choice Australia. So we've really put the product through significant testing to ensure our environmental credibility is there, and we've been able to secure some good leverage with the brand across some key platforms, including the Block, where we ambush marketed the opportunity to get Slurry Tub on 5 of the houses in the last season, and recently picked up a good design award as a gold winner. So just looking forward a little bit in terms of our penetration now, into the domestic market in Australia. We're still early days with Slurry Tub, so our penetration is relatively small, and we're targeting that 5% within 5 years. The big opportunity for the product is, as Angus mentioned, as a builder, regulatory and compliance and the guidelines for industry are particularly poor. And our opportunity is obviously to influence that regulatory change, and we've got a strategic opportunity to do that. As I mentioned, Slurry Tub doesn't exist anywhere in the world, and the opportunity to drive the business in export markets across the world, which we've dipped our toe in the water initially for the UK and Canada with some initial success, which is really encouraging. We've also got new product development opportunities ready to go. We've got some limitations with the current product, purely based on the volume and the capacity. It fits in the back of a ute. We're getting lots of call from end users wanting a bigger unit, so there's an opportunity to work through that process in the new development of logical range extensions for Slurry Tub, and also the opportunity to build the team is real. I won't race through regulatory strategy, albeit it's part of a major opportunity for the business. The guidelines need to be improved, and a filtering system, we believe, should be mandatory on all building sites, and we've got some plans to ensure that written into some of those guidelines. And as I mentioned, the international opportunity is extraordinary, given the nature and the size of some of the global markets, particularly the UK being a big masonry market, and the North American market, which spend an inordinate amount of money on renovations, new homes and developments. We've shipped our first containers to the UK and Canada. We were contacted by businesses and interested parties in those two countries on the back of the product really making a lot of sense to them, and that's given us some great energy to look at other markets overseas, and particularly North America, where the environment is key in lots of the building and planning decisions in those markets. Just as an idea, as an extension to the idea on the depth and scale, there's the market penetration is relatively modest at the moment, given we've only been marketing Slurry Tub for a short time. But the size of the markets in the UK and the US for renovations are extraordinarily large, and ones that we're really keen to extend the opportunity to. So I think that's it, Isaac. More to expand on, of course, through the breakout rooms. But thanks, everybody. That's Slurry Tub.
Thank you very much, David and Angus. I'd now like to invite Luke Wheat, founder and managing director of Future Green Solutions, and Nick Zarraden, CFO, and Tom Foster, the corporate advisor, to support.
Thanks, Isaac. I'll just put my screen up.
Awesome. Thanks, Luke.
Sorry, mate. I might actually get you to do it from your end. So it's not letting me go to full screen for some reason.
Yeah, I'll do it.
That's okay. I can kick off while you're doing that, Tom.
Yep.
So thanks, Isaac and Beckon, for the opportunity, and thanks to the attendees for giving us your time. I'm Luke Wheat. I'm the founder and managing director at Future Green Solutions. Future Green is the most advanced company building commercial scale insect protein operations to supply the growing demand for sustainable proteins in animal feed, initially in the aquaculture and pet food industries. We're in the process of finalising a growth equity raise to scale up production and meet demand. And today I'll give a brief introduction and history of Future Green, an overview of our business model, our products, our priority and markets, and a business update. My background is in marine science, and conservation and sustainability has always been my passion. Having been involved in grassroots sustainability and conservation organisations and projects, I quickly grew frustrated with the challenges of achieving these sustainability initiatives at any meaningful scale. And in parallel, I was working in a corporate setting, and it became clear that the challenge of sustainability at scale was really at its root around the lack of a business model. And this is much to what Chris spoke to in his introduction about the collision of impact and profit. And so that was the genesis of Future Green Solutions, which we founded 10 years ago. Thanks, Tom. So what's the problem? So Future Green Solutions actually addresses multiple seemingly unrelated problems. At the front end, we're addressing the issue of protein sustainability in animal feed markets. Many of the traditional sources of feed ingredients are not sustainable and are demanding on the environment. For example, the aquaculture industry is reliant on wild-caught seafood to produce fish meal, which is a key ingredient in their diets of their livestock. Similarly, in the pet food industry, there is a growing awareness of the environmental footprint of red meat and other feed ingredients, and consumers are demanding sustainable options. As a result, producers are looking for high-quality, sustainable protein alternatives. At the other end of our value chain, we solve a waste problem. As a society, we produce significant amounts of organic waste through the agriculture and food supply chain. And in Australia, that amounts to 14 million tonnes. Most of the waste ends up in landfill, where it's a significant contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. If food waste for a country would be the third largest emitter globally. So what's the solution? Our solution is to build a sustainable, scalable, cost-effective and high-growth business that supplies high-quality insect protein, utilising organic waste as the key input. We do this using a naturalised, non-pest insect species called the black soldier fly, and provided that you've spent the years understanding their nutrition and perfecting their husbandry, their operational leverage is phenomenal. They're a non-select feeder, and the larvae increase their body mass 10,000 times from hatch to harvest over a period of 12 days. And to put that into perspective, it's the equivalent of growing an 8-tonne chicken in just under a fortnight. The larvae have an excellent nutritional profile, and the modular nature of our system allows for consistent and reliable production of product quality and ongoing efficiency gains. We currently supply customers from our Shenton Park operations and are in the process of scaling up production to meet demand. As a result of our process, Future Green is able to close the loop and continuously recycle organic waste. We deliver significant sustainability benefits and can do so at scale, both directly in terms of the waste diversion and emissions reduction, and indirectly by replacing less sustainable feed ingredients. In doing so, we directly address the UN Sustainability Development Goals 12, 14 and 15. Our protein meal can be used in any animal ration with domestic addressable market of over 1 billion. In terms of aqua feed, large producers have long been searching for a protein source that will allow them to reduce their use of fish meal. The fish meal in Australia is largely imported and derived from wild caught fisheries, which is highly unsustainable and also capped in terms of fisheries quotas. Future Green conducted our first commercial aquaculture trials in 2016 and have conclusively and consistently shown our protein meal is what producers call performance equivalent to fish meal. This was the basis for a multi-year offtake with Australia's largest stock feed manufacturer. The other two large aquafeed manufacturers based in Australia are familiar with insect meals and already include them in their European operations. In terms of pet food, both Mars and Nestle, the two largest pet food manufacturers globally, have launched insect products, and there are 30 independent new specialist insect food companies in Europe selling insect-based products in Europe. Insect meal has been approved by AFCO in the United States, which is equivalent to their FDA for feed ingredients. We do have multiple offtakes in place for our product and a strong pipeline of discussions across multiple categories. Sorry, Tom. Having developed IP in husbandry, nutrition and genetics and secured waste supply and product offtakes, we're scaling up production with a new facility supported by strong customer demand. We've spent over a year optimising design with our consultant partners and have a secured site and developer with the shovel-ready project. We're also recently awarded a FeedSafe accreditation for our protein products by the Stock Feed Manufacturer Council of Australia, which is the gold standard for end-to-end quality assurance, and we are the first and only insect producer to achieve this domestically. To fund the facility, we're undertaking an equity raise, the majority of which will be used to fund capital expenditure for the purpose of equipment, automation and building fit-outs, and the raise is well progressed with commitments from strategic investors of over 80% of the round to date. So in summary, insect protein is a fast-growing market with significant opportunity for Future Green as Australia's market leader. We have the required deep expertise in IP, in insect husbandry, nutrition, genetics, and the processing to ensure that we have the highest quality products to meet the customers' needs. We have strong customer demand and commercial interest that underwrites our first full-scale plant, which is shovel-ready. We have commercial relationships for feedstock supply and offtakes with customers who have proven the use of our ingredients in their products, all of which results in a very attractive project economics, delivering excellent cash flow and profitability. Our business model is highly scalable with significant runway into new production facilities to meet increasing customer demand. So yeah, thanks again for your time. We are looking for some more strategic partners to join us and to help us finalise our round. Thanks very much for your time.
Thanks, Luke and Tom. Fantastic. Finally, I'd like to introduce Julian Callingsworth, CEO of Radiant Energy, to present.
Thank you. Has that popped up on the screen yet?
Yeah. Yes, Julian.
Excellent. Look, I'd just like to thank the guys at Beckon for doing something innovative in the capital market and helping connect people to sustainable businesses. A little bit about Radiant. So Radiant Energy is a tech-enabled energy company that has established itself a couple of years ago in Australia. So we saw a fundamental problem where customers were looking to go on a green journey, and our customers are primarily retail customers, small and medium enterprises, and larger multi-site customers across the NEM, so Queensland, New South Wales and Victoria being our key markets. We saw an opportunity to help our customers go on a green journey. We saw them coming to us and saying, we would like a solution that enabled us to ensure that we had green energy, And we'd like the tools and the technology to help us understand what our consumption is so that we can continue to reduce it. But we would like those tools to enable us to share what we're doing and to share our reduction and the use of green energy with our staff and with our customers, because our customers are seeing so much greenwashing in the market in regard to the use of green energy and carbon offsets. And our staff, and being an employer of choice and wanting to attract leading staff into our organisation, they wanted to see that companies were also walking the talk and delivering sustainable goals to attract them in there. But we knew that we couldn't do that unless we could deliver energy at a competitive price. It's a very competitive market across Australia with a number of retailers, but we have built a platform that enables us to deliver green electricity to our customer base at a market competing cost, while also enabling our customers to use technology to reduce their consumption and to understand in a detailed level how they're doing it. And if they're going down the offset path, to deliver those offsets at an average cost saving of 25%. So for a typical SME that is looking to decrease their consumption and offset to be carbon neutral, the examples with customers today have saved 25%, and that can be up to 200,000 a year. Having spent sort of two decades in the energy market with various consulting firms, these were some of the key metrics that our surveys discovered. 91%, the vast majority of Australians would like to do something with renewable energy, but they're cost conscious, cost of pressure living, all of those things. People would like to make this transition without spending significantly more. So we understood that we needed to build a business that could deliver these capabilities to people. So we built a channel system and an ability to attract customers at the lowest customer acquisition cost in market, heading to the lowest. We've also built a very tech-centric organisation so that we can scale up, and we are a scale up. Today we have over 800 customers, and we're looking to scale that up in the retail space to in excess of 50,000 customers in the next 24 months. And we saw that there was no energy retail organisation that had brought together the capabilities around being able to deliver multi-sites, multi-access, microgrids, virtual power plants, and deliver the energy reporting and the ESG goals that the customers were looking for. So the initial 18 months to 2 years that we've been in market has been around developing these tools and testing them with our customers and securing all the regulatory permits. The energy sector, as you can imagine, is very regulated and requires you to engage with the AEMO to secure licenses, which we've done. And the other thing that has been a real focus for us is building channel relationships. So we have a number of leading channels. I think Asthma Australia is a great example where we partner with Asthma Australia to provide green electricity to their membership base. This enables us to bring in customers at a very low cost to us, but more importantly, brings in value aligned customers. One of the key challenges with the energy industry is people, if they come in because they are cost conscious and that's their key driver, they have very high churn rates, and you lose those customers very quickly. Through the use of our technology and being able to provide them with solutions, combined with choosing customers that are very keen and are coming in from a value aligned perspective, we've got exceptionally low churn rate, which leads to a highly profitable customer for us. Part of the technology, and we think of ourselves more of akin to an energy tech company, rather than in the same way fintechs are looking to disrupt the financial services market. We've been looking to disrupt the energy market by providing information and data that makes people understand of their usage and can share that information. Now, we don't believe that people will engage with this information every day. They want to see it They want to understand that they're doing the right thing. But for us, it's about ensuring that our customers have energy at a competitive market price, while at the same time knowing that they are doing something that's very positive for the environment. We've built out a number of bespoke platforms that allow virtual power plants, peer-to-peer trading, and provide that all in a manner that's completely automated. As an example of where some of these things are delivering value, we have one customer at the moment that is a brewery company, and they've engaged with their key customers. They've talked to them about the green journey that they're going on. They're lowering their emissions within the brewery, while at the same time, those customers who have solar are able to share their surplus solar into the brewery to ensure that that electricity is coming from a green solution. And instead of getting a feed-in tariff once a month, or when they've hit a milestone of circa $30 of surplus energy, the brewery delivers them a slab. So it's really been able to engage with customers and drive a deeper customer relationship around something that historically some customers may have thought was a bit boring. You know, I've got solar panels. I did it because it was the right thing to do. It's lowered my cost of energy within my house. But now I can do something. I can donate that through our tech. I could donate it to the brewery. I can donate it to the school that my children go to, so that we can contribute to something in my community. So I think through our technology, it's really led us to enable organisations to go on a decarbonisation journey, to be able to demonstrate to their customers, their suppliers and their staff how they're travelling on that, but also have this much deeper engagement with their customers. So we're really taking something that has historically been seen as a very commodity item that is just a cost to business, something that is, if it's coming from fossil fuels, is potentially and quite damaging to the environment, and shifting that away through the use of technology into something that can be used to drive deeper customer engagement. How is it going today? Well, as I said, we've had quite a significant period in the build phase, and we're now in the scale up phase. We have over 800 customers from a retail perspective. We're adding probably 200 customers a month, and we think that will grow to over 1,000 customers a month once we complete this scale up round. A second key area that we work with is the SMEs and the C&I projects. And we've built to date a pipeline of $300 million worth of projects that we will look to deliver. Those projects range from green development parks, where we're actually building green call centres and green data centres and providing electricity into those organisations behind the meter, which is more profitable, probably 50% more profitable for us, but also supports those organisations on their green journey. They can include a number of large big box warehouses, regional centres, airports, you know, a full range of customers there that gives us this diversification away from primarily retail customers into the wholesale space. The second benefit of that is that through these larger centres, we become a virtual power plant. We start to generate our own electricity, which enables us to support market offers to customers that are not able to install their own solar panels or batteries. So we have specific offers for people who rent or who live in a property that isn't appropriate to install your own solar and batteries. So those people who feel they'd like to do something, would like to use an electricity product that creates less environmental impact, can come onto our network and use the electricity that is surplus in some of the larger projects. As I said, green tech, we're currently raising $3 million in market. I'd say we're probably 40 to 50% there. With looking to do an IPO in 3 to 4 years at a $400 million valuation. And to put that into context, recently one of our competitors was bought by Dutch Shell for $729 million. I think that's what I wanted to touch on. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Julian.
Diversity of these companies, which they're all outstanding contributors to problems, but it just speaks to, you know, in a world that is so challenged, it's really distributed architectures of these different elements that we need to work together to solve the problems. You know, stuff that we couldn't rely on government to do alone at the center. We can see that, you know, networking these innovations both independently and networking them together into a mesh of complementary situations, you know, speaks to how we can take on the big challenges. And I just think it's really exciting to see all of this.
But it's just the breadth of problems that are being really innovatively solved out there is fascinating. So it's I'm loving hearing these stories, and it to us seems very clear this is why Beckon exists, because these businesses, every one of them deserve backing. They all need capital to get where the next stage of their growth, and there's just limited source from the big institutions, limited source from the debt providers. But they definitely, you know, deserve funding. Some are much further down the funding path already than others, but every one of them, certainly I think, and your thoughts, but yeah, they're all fabulous businesses that are solving a really big problem with actually, but not trading off economic returns. That's the really interesting thing from each of those companies.
But if anybody wants any pitch decks or wants to be introductions, etc., please don't hesitate to contact me. It's fiona.pryor@beckon.capital. I'm sure I've sent emails to all of you at some stage. So yeah, please do.
I'd just like to invite Chris now just to finish, just to talk about Beckon a little bit further, our growth equity fund.
Thanks, everybody. As I said, we are here to facilitate this. So we're going to be holding forums like this and inviting companies, including these companies, back. I think that one of the key things here is they're individually, what David has said is correct, but it's also the opportunities. And we had a number of conversations in our room about collaboration and actually helping each other build these businesses. So I think we're in a situation where to get the best outcomes for communities. It's interesting, in the 19th and 20th century, I saw a great presentation on this. It was all about competition. Now we don't have, we have to deliver against purpose. Collaboration is the best way to deliver against purpose and actually give you the best returns at the same time, and the community's the best outcome. So we're here, we invite everybody. If you have any questions, we will facilitate discussion groups, collaboration forums, development structures, etc., as part of our mission. So behind that also, we have an investment fund whereby you can invest directly in these companies, and we're excited to facilitate that. But also the broad pool, this is the kind of opportunities that we will be investing in the fund, including some of these companies, but also to facilitate other companies, and we can show you another set of companies as well. But the fund itself is attractive because of these individual opportunities, but also in pulling together these opportunities, there's risk management opportunities here as well, and also the facilitation of this collaboration environment. So just stepping back at the high level, what the sorts of returns you can get in these structures. The reality is you're coming into a diverse range of companies which all have growth opportunities supported by our diversification processes. What is interesting in this space is that it is interesting if you look in traditional investment categories, the real rates of interest are roughly zero. And a lot of the returns, I would argue, have been in the past based on printing money, financial asset inflation. And we're seeing now with the rise of interest rates, some of that financial asset inflation is being questioned. Whereas to come into this space, you're dealing with companies that more modestly valued because they're not yet fully appreciated, and they're growing and being discovered and developing themselves into something more real. So as a result, this as an alternative place to invest money, we think is a premium environment because you're coming in at reasonable valuations, you're involved in the development and the growth of these businesses, and the valuations rise as well. So both individually, but the fund itself will be delivering superior returns. We've already seen this category is being born. You know, you may be aware in the UK, there's the Business Growth Fund there. Australian government has set one up. But, you know, this is the combination of the dynamics I've just said, the business growth characteristics of modest valuations and productivity uplift. And at the same time, the integration of data and so forth for ESG impact improvement is both a driver of the highest quality sustainable returns, delivering high quality improvement in the health of communities. And so it's a win-win-win. I think the best way to make quality returns and sustainable returns is to be investing in a portfolio of businesses that are building value. So, you know, returns of at least 20% we think are reasonable.
Yeah, the other opportunity where I think this is so exciting is that you will have some outliers where all of a sudden you've got a valuation of 30 million that'll become a unicorn. So you've got a mixture of both. It's like the investments that you're making are not startups; they're revenue generating. So in the venture capital space, they'll say, okay, well, 1 in 10 will work, and the returns are phenomenal because you just need one of the 10 to basically become that unicorn, and that model really works well. What this is, you're getting actually the best of both worlds, where you seem to be investing in SMEs, where people who want to exit, who's been in the business for a long time, has got the business to scale, and instead of getting money from the bank, you're actually getting equity, where in the previous world, there was no equity for the SME. Is that correct?
That is correct. The other thing is also that the VC, in terms of impact, the VC space in Australia is very narrowly targeted, you know, on SaaS, on biotech, just beginning to enter ag-tech / impact. So there's a shortage of capital into these types of businesses. And it's ironic, this hole in the market, with both filling a need, you're getting quality returns, in part because the traditional big capital only went at the upper end, and VC was for a very focused area of opportunities. I think that this is a win-win-win, but also in order to participate in this, we as investors, but we invite people to collaborate and help strengthen the businesses that you're investing in.
Okay.
So we have so as I said, you can invest directly, and if you like meetings with the companies, we would be delighted to set them up. I know some of the conversations will cut mid-sentence. I was, very pleased by the level of interest, but equally, if you'd like to invest for us, we are here as your facilitator for pooling.
Yeah. Chris, can you take the slide off so that we can see everybody's faces?
Yeah. So Isaac, I think we're done here. So I just said, if you want to talk to us, please come to us. But also, we're going to be running more discussion groups like this and networking you with these businesses between each other, because, as I said, collaboration is really the cornerstone of how to achieve returns, and we will facilitate those collaborations with data. So,
I'm particularly grateful, that you've spent 2 hours listening to the future, SMEs that can scale and can really flip the issues that we're having in this country and globally. So, on behalf of Beckon Capital and on behalf of the SMEs that were brave enough to pitch this morning, I want to thank you so much. Please keep in touch with us. And we got the message loud and clear. We can, do so much better on so many levels, but it was our first. And, I'm grateful for Ivan and his team to be supporting this event. And as we said, it's the first of many. I'm really gobsmacked that we don't do this stuff more. And, I might put out a little survey after this, just asking you about, face to face and, more opportunities like this. And in particular, the investors, where do you normally go? Like, how do you get your deal flow if investor forums like this don't exist? So anyway, thank you so much. We will see you on the other side. Chris, do you want to make any final observations as the founder of Beckon Capital?
All I'd say is we have investment research reports on these companies, which are internal. We're just going through regulatory stuff about the terms I think we can release, but so to the point about data and so forth, this is just a hello. But one of the things we want to make sure that you understand is we've got support information, both from the companies, our own work with them, and we're here to help, make this collaboration productive and data informed. So it goes beyond chat, it's informed with information and structure.